December 16th, I had a show. I was doing my set and I couldn't get through it. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, I can't get through this. And what I realized was there were a lot of those things that I wrote that I don't believe anymore. I've never been a person who's able to fake anything. Do you believe that belief is a choice? Because I'm of the belief that it's not. I think you have information that informs your belief, right? If you get information that is presented to you that can alter your belief, like, that's what would happen.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Maia Moments. I'm your host, Maia Anderson, and I'm here with a mutual friend of mine who I've had I actually don't even think we've actually formally met like in person before, but I am very familiar with him. I've been able to just kind of do life with him, not really connected, but basically connected, which is what I love most about social media and just being able to connect with other people. He's a better friend to my partner in crime, Cam. But I'm so grateful to have him on the podcast today to just talk about how he feels he's creatively purposed and what he's been able to do with his platform and just who he is. So none other than Crum. Say hi to everyone, Crum.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going? I am honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm honored to have you. So,
man,
yeah, of course. Crum is, I've said, I was going to say he's a TikTok king because that's truly what he is at this point. I like every time I obviously follow him because we know each other, but like whenever I'm looking at the algorithm page, Crum always like there's at least 2 to 3 videos that come up. I don't go on TikTok enough to actually interact with him, but I'm like, he's obviously in the algorithm. They love you. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it really is. So I just kind of want to talk about your journey, like from beginning, especially with music. I know that that's been a large part of your journey and still is. You've been in the CHH world, which didn't even have a clue was a thing. And I was talking to somebody else about this. I had no clue was a thing until obviously my boyfriend is in that world. And so I've been exposed to a lot of the culture and everything a part of it now. But growing up, I had no clue about that. So like your journey, I know you were in that world for like so long. So I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And like, where does that start? Like, how do you start? Where do you feel is the first, I don't know, like, where's the first moment, even as a child, that you see yourself doing the things that you feel you're creatively purposed to do even now? Like as a child, was that drawing? Was that,
you know,
really like,
good.
What was those moments that you can maybe connect to?
Yeah. I think it is in several like parts. So, so when I was like a kid, like I loved art. And so like I would draw and write stories and make comic books, all that type of stuff. So that kind of contributes to what I do now with Streetlight, as far as like graphic design and things like that. But I started rapping. So like I started rapping as CHH. So a lot of people kind of have like this whole conversion thing. Like I grew up in the church. I was devout, for most of my childhood. I had like Lecrae's first project before he was even like signed. Like I was like I was a CHH head. Like I loved Christian rap growing up and cross movement, all that stuff. And so I wanted to like try my hand at rapping. Um when I was 15, I got really, really sick. And so I missed a ton of school because I was hospitalized. And what they ended up doing was they sent a tutor so I like discharged, but I couldn't go back to school yet. So they sent this like school tutor to my house so I wouldn't miss out on credits. So what happened was I actually got so many credits to where I was ahead in my class when I went back for second semester. Yeah. And so that's why I'm an advocate for individual learning because of that reason. But yes, I was ahead when I returned, and so what happened was I had 3 study halls because my mom didn't trust me to get an early out. So because I had these study halls, what I ended up doing was downloaded a bunch of beats off the internet, and I would spend my time in my study halls writing lyrics and writing raps.
Wow.
That's how that that's how it all started. And you test it out in the hallways and at the lunch tables when they're beating on the tables. Like you try it out, and
Yeah.
you know,
The
yeah, and
innocence, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
doing
yeah,
what you felt passionate about.
yeah, exactly. And and the people were digging it. They loved it. And one of the security guards uh, was also a person at my church. And when he heard what I was doing, he said he wanted to pay for my studio time. And so he paid for
What?
all my he paid for all my studio time for like a year and a half. And I
Oh my
got a mixtape
gosh.
recorded. Yeah, it was really cool. Got a mixtape recorded, and um, yeah, and I kind of just never stopped after that.
But that's incredible. Like you really got basically like sewed into like someone from afar. Like were you close to the security guard or he was just someone that went to your church?
No, we had known each other.
Wow.
I know his whole family and everything like
Oh,
that. So
that's so
yeah,
dope. Like I want to be able
yeah,
to pour into people's lives in that way. Like, like just be
yeah,
able to be like, you know what, I see what you're doing and I know you probably don't have other resources. Let me just help you. That's
yeah. Had that not happened, I don't know if I would be making music right now. So
wow.
um, yeah, that was really
I
cool.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you then now have this mixtape, you're going through the studio and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the beginning of you like making it feeling like, okay, this is where I want to be fully, like this is where my life
Yeah,
is?
yeah. So sort of. So like I kind of had a dual path that I wanted for my life, where um I wanted to pursue music, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be, I wanted to be a Christian rapper. That's what I wanted, like more than anything. But I also wanted to be a youth pastor. Um, and so uh, I ended up going to Bible college. It's kind of like Bible college. It's more like Master's Commission. I don't know if you know anything about Master's Commission, but it's like
Yeah. My father's a
yeah.
pastor, so I know a little bit about
Okay, yeah,
it.
yeah. So I went to this thing called Master's Commission, which was a nightmare. But I
I
went to
can
this thing called
only imagine.
yeah. It was a nightmare.
Seminary, all of them have for all of the people that I know that are black that go to these type of institutions, there's always the underlying through line of yeah, it was helpful, yeah, it educated me, but always.
But yeah. And so um, so yeah, it was just yeah. But that was kind of my path. So I would, I'd be making music, and I was touring around with the school, um, doing music, and we would bring in like bigger artists. They would let me open up for them. And so there was a lot of like cool things where I was like, I was kind of getting my feet wet, and you know, meeting other artists, and um, getting advice, and, all of that. So yeah, I've been, so I've been like trying to make music. Not trying. I have been making music. I have to like change my
Thank
language.
you. Correct yourself.
Yeah, yeah. For man, I was what 16 the first song that I recorded. So or the 16 when our first project dropped. So that was I am 33 now. So that's I've been doing it longer than I haven't, you know. Um yeah,
Yeah. Your most of
yeah,
your life now has been,
yeah.
with music in the forefront. I think that's beautiful. Like there's so many through lines of like where I'm sure you can even say for yourself where you're like, if I would have just made this path or I would have did it this way, my whole life could have been different. And so just seeing like how music like has been fullness for your life, I think that's a blessing because so many people would love to have that kind of like, I love music and I've been able to have the majority of my life be centered around that. Um, and just the fact that you were able to have those experiences, like starting off so young, is just incredible, like it
Yeah, I
worked out
agree.
for
Yeah.
you with the independent learning and everything. That I'm sure, did that help? Was that helpful at all with you doing music and
Yeah, I
everything?
think, yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, man, had one thing shifted or changed, I wouldn't be on the path that I am right now. Like, it just kind of like it's weird. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
any type of
Yep.
way that this would have, like any
I feel you.
divergent, yeah, yeah. If I took any opposite or alternative route, I would not be where I'm at right now. So
And that's
I'm grateful.
crazy. I just think that
Yeah.
even for myself, when I see that too, I'm like, even the bad stuff had to happen in order for like me to be where I'm at, because everything happens on purpose. Like, I'm just a firm believer that everything happens on purpose, and like
Right. Right. I believe
things,
that too.
yeah, it just had to happen that way, to make me who I am, so that I can see it from the perspective that I see it from, because of my experiences in life. So
Mm-hmm.
that's incredible. Um, okay, so fast forward from that, like, what's the next big thing that happens or significant thing that happens in your journey? Because it doesn't go from there to streetlights. Like, you're doing music. So I would love to like know about, like, how do you get, I'm assuming you actually went through the program for
Yeah.
the master's commissions, if I'm saying that correctly. And then from
Yeah. Yeah.
there, what happens after? Like, what's the next? Take me through that journey.
Yeah. There's a lot, man. There's a whole lot. So I stay a part of this program for like 4 years because there's at the end of this program I'm supposed to be like, yo, yeah, we'll plant you in a church, and you want to be a youth pastor, we'll get you right, and all this stuff. And then of course none of that happens. Um, yeah, none of that happens. I actually the church kind of split and falls apart. Um, and I'm kind of left with like, okay, what do I do now? So I'm kind of like hopping from like church to church at this point, just trying to find like a church home. I'm still doing,
Really?
yeah, yeah. So I'm still doing music. I'm getting booked by churches and things like that. This is maybe 2013. Um, so I'm getting booked. Things like that are happening. I just took over this group home for like teenage boys, so like ages 13 to
Yeah,
18.
yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
took
got
over this
you.
group home around this time and
Wow, okay.
doing all that, and yeah, I'm kind of jumping from place to place and trying to figure this whole thing out. I dropped a album right around this time called Black Sheep, which got me like some attention from like Rapzilla. Um, I had a
Okay, that makes
song in
sense. Yeah.
particular called Mercy, and that got picked up by Rapzilla, and that
Yeah,
brought
I've heard Mercy. I've
yeah,
heard
yeah,
Mercy.
yeah. And so they and that kind of introduced me to like a lot of other artists, and yeah, just a lot of like people who now kind of know who I am because I got picked up by the site. And Rapzilla was like around that time, like that was the place to like get discovered because it wasn't you didn't really have access to like your social media wasn't putting you in front of everybody. Virality wasn't
Right.
really a thing.
Right. It was like
Um,
publications still happening that was
yeah, this still
helpful
had
to
all
push instead of social
exactly.
media push.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody was going to like Rapzilla's SoundCloud to discover artists or Rapzilla's YouTube to discover artists, versus all the other ways we can do it. And so so that introduced me to a bunch of different groups, bunch of different people, all these, and what ends up kind of happening is, uh, I just realized that like it's really hard to like build with people, especially if you're not in proximity with,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and especially with for some reason with CHH, it just was really difficult to like build with people. Like everybody was like way more guarded. There were like prereq like there was like especially around that time there were like prerequisites to like talk. Like you should have a certain type of theology. You should
Oh,
you know,
that
you need to
deep.
be associated. Yeah, you need to be associated with this, and this. Are you using secular producers? Like it was just a very it was a very interesting time. And you kind of had to be because they had all these different kind of big groups that like you had to like either be a part of or be adjacent to in order for people to even like acknowledge you. It was a
Yeah,
very,
yeah. For
very
you to, yeah, that
yeah,
makes
it was a very
sense.
like exclusive situation going on at that time. And I found myself just being really frustrated by that, you know. But kind of like not knowing what to do about it, as far as like
Yeah, because if I'm thinking about it, like from your point of view, like you just got out of this church situation that's very messy, and then now you're trying to find some type of community within CHH just on collaboration, like not even crazy, and then that is now like a wall up
yeah,
about like
yeah,
who's set is basically like who's set are you putting up and stuff like that. It's like, wait a minute, like what is
yeah,
going on?
exactly, exactly. So like, yeah, just not knowing like what's up and not knowing like how to navigate this thing, you know. What I ended up doing, I was just kind of like the lone. I was like a lone wolf for several years, you know. Um, I dropped a EP. Um, you see, no, I dropped that project. I got married. So I met my wife in I
Yeah,
met my wife in 2014. We got committed to a church. I became a youth pastor at that church. We got married. Um, then so this is like 2000. So this is from 2014 to 2016. I'm still creating music, still doing all that.
got you,
Um,
got you.
I'm dropping singles a lot, but I dropped an EP in 2017 called Flawed. And I had a song on there that did really well called Monster. And that got me introduced to the very first like I think like the very first like cosign I could say I got that was like, oh, more people are now noticing was from Mike LV. And he
Oh,
put
okay, got you,
he put Monster on his because he that's like when he was doing the playlist a whole lot. So he put it on the God Always playlist. I think Rapzilla picked it up and they put it on their playlist. Um, more and more people
got you.
are getting to know
Listening,
me.
yeah, the
Yeah, listening and
placements from
yeah,
that, people listening to your music, and then they're like, okay, well, what's his other
yeah,
music? And that was just helpful as
absolutely.
like a marketing tool. Yeah,
Yeah. Now also around this time, this is the first like iteration of Streetlight. Um, and so the first iteration of Streetlight, it wasn't like what it is now, which we'll we'll be able to get to, but it was more of like, okay, this is just an artist collective. And so it was like it was crazy. It was like six of us, and we were just barring out like six of us, all local, and we were just barring out the, like
are you
like all the
serious?
time. Yeah, yeah. If you can look us up, like we're still on like the Rapzilla page, the YouTube page, and all that.
Oh,
The
bet
first
I'm
like
gonna
the
have to look
first,
at that.
yeah, the first like iteration of Streetlight, and so that was like for me, I was like, okay, this is a plan. Like we got six of us, we can just keep dropping, and it was like it was very similar to like what you would say like the first iteration of what Indie Tribe was. And so like it was very much that way. And so it was like, we're gonna drop it, we're gonna support each other's releases, and we're gonna do all this stuff, and like, we're gonna take over the game, like this is what it is. We don't need to I created it out of like this place where I was burdened and kind of frustrated because it was like, yo, like no one is like effing with us, like, but we're dope. So like
Yeah,
build our
that
own
chip on your
table, right?
shoulder.
Yeah,
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 build your
that
own
chip on the
table,
shoulder and just kind of like, we'll
pull your
just do
own
it
seat.
ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so when that happened, we started getting a lot more attention. I remember like bigger artists were like, "Yo, shout out Streetlight," and like all of that was happening. It was just really cool to see that our city we were doing like we opened up for Lecrae. I opened up for Lecrae, but I had another member of Streetlight with me, and we had like the banner and everything, and like I just remember this. There was like there was like oh man, that show we sold so many tickets, and like this isn't even me like our when we did that like they were going so crazy for for us. It was so dope to see
No,
that like
I
they were
love
like louder
that.
than like what happened with like with Lecrae at that time. So it was really cool
You know,
to
it's
see what we
crazy.
did in the
I've seen
city.
it before. No, I've
Yeah,
seen it
yeah,
before from other
right,
artists that even
yeah,
Cam has opened up for. And, you know,
yeah.
he's the
He's a
opener, but
performer. He is a performer. Yeah, that is my
he is
dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
incredible. One of the best performers I've ever seen.
a
And
hundred
he will
percent.
command a stage so much. People will come to the show and they'll be leaving after. And I'm like, how you take over
Yeah,
somebody's
right.
show?
Exactly, exactly. No, I love Cam. I love Cam so much.
Yes. So
Um,
I'm going to tell him you
yeah,
said that.
yeah. Um, it was amazing. It was really, really dope. All this stuff happened, and we started off so strong, but very quickly, um, we just kind of learned that like not everybody has the same vision, not everybody has the same goal, not everybody has the same drive, not everybody has the same passion for this. So, you know, it was one of those things where like a couple of us were moving more than the others, and the others felt like um kind of like, oh well, you guys should help more. Or we, you know, like why are you guys leaving us?
Right.
It's
It
like, yo, that's
just,
not, yeah,
yeah,
that's not what we were doing.
yeah.
It was just like,
It
you
became
know,
a different, yeah,
yeah,
intentions are being misconstrued and like there's
yeah,
miscommunication, I'm sure, and stuff. Yeah, that's
a thousand
unfortunate.
percent. Yeah. So this lasted, I think once we hit about, what was it, 2019, I think, it's kind of when that first group was like, okay, we're we're done. Like
We
this
did
just
it,
isn't gonna
guys.
work. Yeah. This is just not.
We did it. We done it.
Yeah.
We're
I just think.
done.
I just think it's best that like you guys do what you want to do. I'm gonna do what I like. I don't want to drag anybody. I don't want to force anybody. I don't want to act like I'm pulling teeth to get you to drop music. Like it's just nah. We're not gonna do that. It hurt though. It hurt a lot. Um and
And that's real. Like, I
yeah,
know that has to hurt, you know,
yeah,
because your intentions weren't for it to go that way. So that's real.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all. So like yeah, so we ended it. And yeah, for a while there, like it hurt, and it was like we just like I still consider them like my friends and my brothers and everything like that. But it was like a really really dark time. It was really like I don't know. It just wasn't. It was really things were weird. Things were awkward, and things just were bad. And there were some ways that I really felt really wronged, right? And then I was getting ready to like be done with music actually, like around right around this time. I was like, man, I just don't got it any like I don't know if I want to do this anymore or whatever. I remember I was getting ready to write like a retirement, like I was gonna kind of write this thing where saying like I'm done. The day I was getting ready to post it, I got announced as a Rapzilla freshman, and that I was
Wow.
going that I was picked to go perform at at their A3C
Oh, yeah.
for the
Yeah. I
Rapzilla
remember that.
showcase. Yeah.
A3C.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
So I went, yeah. So I went down to A3C. That's where I finally met Cam and Culture Villains,
Yeah. That was a
Travis. I
couple
stayed
years
with them.
ago.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. And so
Wow. Okay.
yeah. And so we met each other and hung out and everything like that. It was really dope. That kind of got that kind of got me going some more. And so um I dropped Vigilantes. I got like I collaborated with artists that were like, I think No Big Deal. Yeah, I did a song with No Big Deal. Like it was like cool things were happening, right? Cool things were kind of popping off or whatever, or all around this time. Um, So I've dropped Vigilantes, and then we get into 2020 and the pandemic hits.
Yup.
Yep. And yeah, I had planned for me, like performing is like my favorite part of making music, right?
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
when touring is done and it's over with, it's like, damn, how am I going to do this? Like, how can I make money? How can I, how can I how can I do this? I
Yeah.
remember right around this time, I got I linked up with Aaron Knight, who is
Yeah.
brilliant. Who is, I will say
Brilliant.
this, Aaron Knight is
Yes.
so
Yes.
brilliant. She is so brilliant. But I linked up with her, and
She is, and she's on this season, y'all.
Oh,
By the
good,
way,
good,
she's
good.
another
Yeah.
person on this season. Yeah,
Please tell
but
her I
go
said that.
ahead.
Please tell her I said that if she
I
talks to her.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her.
But yeah, she is brilliant. But I I went and I bought consultations from her. So just to do things. And so she was like, so Crum, like, what do you want to do? And everything. And I was like, I want to go full time in music. I want to, I was just telling her like my goals and everything. And one of her first suggestions, she was like, you should start like an artist collective and like this in a creative agency so that you can make money and you can do all like you can that's going to help you become full-time faster because you're using your other skills because you can graphic design, you can mix, you can do ads management, you can do all of these things. Why don't you do something like that? And immediately I was like, I don't want to do that because I'm still hurting from when the
Yeah.
last group
Exactly.
I am not starting an artist
No.
collective. No. She's like, no, you should try. You should do it. And so around so like yeah, so 2020. This is like probably my biggest year of music at this point because now I'm dropping every 3 weeks. I drop, you know. Yeah, it was crazy. It was that I flew Cam out. We did a music video. We stayed at my crib, and yeah, we just did all these cool things. Um, and music video. So it was like song, music video, behind the scenes, song, music video, behind the scenes, and we did that for 8 straight months. And then at that
Applying
same
pressure.
applying pressure, yeah. At the same time, I'm putting together Streetlight, and I have this vision of this not only just artist collective, but the not the vision. This is basically what Aaron said, but I was now trying to formulate how this is going to work. And so the first person I hit up was Melee, uh, and I was
Shout
like,
out to
look,
Melee.
yeah, shout out Melee. I was like, this is my plan. This is what I want to do. And she was like immediately yes. And I didn't know. I didn't know if she was gonna say yes. She was like
Melee
immediately
like
yes.
that though.
Yeah, yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. And so I asked her. Second person I asked was Kayla, who does graphic design, and she's just great with vision. Yeah, and then I asked Thomas Iannucci, and then I asked Cindy, and everybody said yes. Everybody was down, and so
don't you love when that happens?
yeah, just when a plan comes
like,
together, yeah,
come on,
yeah. And so, but I knew this time like I had like prerequisites as far as like who I was going to ask and why I was going to ask. And it came with, okay, well, first and foremost, you got to have talent. Not talent. I'm sorry. No, that's last. First and foremost, you got to have character, right? You got to have character. First and foremost, you got to have character. Second, you got to have drive, right? Third, you got to have talent because I can't teach you good character. I can model good character, but I can't teach you good character. Drive, I can model drive, but I can't teach you drive. That's something that you got to have. Talent, we can work on that. You know what I mean? If that's it just so happens that people I asked had all of those in droves. So, it just worked out. yeah, we went from that, and that's kind of,
I
we
love
kept the
it.
ball rolling, and we helped so many artists with consultations and ads management and graphic design and mixing and mastering and all of that, all the way to the point where in 2021 I created a course because I realized a lot of these people,
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of these people that I'm consulting have the same issue as far as like not knowing how to brand themselves, not understanding brand identity, not understanding how ads work, not understanding any of those things. And so, yeah, so I'm working with them, and so yeah, so then I dropped that course and everything like that. And so that's kind of how I got from, you know, 16-year-old Josh to like, as far as my music path goes, that's kind of how where I got to where I am now.
No, I love it though, because I feel like even in my own journey, I have a similarity of, I just graduated with my BA
Hey,
in
congrats.
theatrical arts, and I've been, thank you. And theater has been, and acting specifically has just been a part of my identity, just who I am as a person, what I'm passionate about. Like, I love it. Like, that's what I want to do. That's what I feel purpose to do. But I love marketing. And I love helping people with that, and see, like, you're doing ads, placements, everything. Like, that is a whole beast. That's a beast that I do not specialize in. But when it comes to organic growth and just being able to have like, um just connecting people to whatever your story is, I'm really good at that. And I've helped countless organizations with that for the past like 7.5 years. I was doing it for, my church. And then I did it in college for the ministry I was a part of. And it kind of gave me a reputation. I always felt kind of just like torn, like I have to choose one. Like I can't do them. I can't do either or. I have to do one. And so I love how even Erin, when she kind of gave that suggestion to you that this is how you'll become full time, that she was telling you to embrace the
Yeah,
whole package and not to
not to box yourself and limit
limit
yourself.
yourself, give
Yeah,
yourself a ceiling,
she is
box
so
yourself
brilliant.
in, and
Oh
tell
man,
you this
yeah,
is the
yeah, she's
lane.
great. She's great.
She is.
Yeah,
She's incredible. That's incredible. And I love that you kind of highlighted and talked about that. Now, is Streetlights still helping people in the same ways that they were before? Or is it just coursework primarily that you do? Like, could you speak to just like what Streetlights does now? Because I would love to just highlight the business real quick,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that's something you're still doing.
So all those services are still available. What's been kind of cool now is the course kind of exists as the front end of a lot of it, because like that way, I feel like it's better that way. That way, because what I would teach you in a consultation, um, or what you would learn in the course, if had I taught you those things in a consultation, you're going to be spending, um, yeah, lots of money, lots of money. So instead, yeah, so it's yeah, so instead, I was like, okay, well, here's this course for an affordable rate. Like, let's just take this, and then on the back end, let's really do some stuff. So for consultation, so like we can
Right.
really push
You
through.
can really dig in, and you've
Absolutely,
already qualified that the people that are coming to you have a minimum of this amount of knowledge coming
exactly,
to you. And
exactly.
so you don't have to spend, it's not a
Yeah,
waste of anybody's time.
right,
I love
right.
that.
So
So what
any
actual
type of
services do you guys do?
So yeah, it's the same. So we still do offer consultations on the front end for people who have like side product projects, or they just have a question, or they just got, they're stuck somewhere. We will help with that. We still do graphic design. We still do ads management. So you ever need ads management, things like that, we can help you with that. Press releases, we do press releases as well.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, and mixing and mastering, we do mixing and mastering as well. Um, so yeah, we still have all those services available. Um, yeah, we've been able to help a lot of people, so it's been cool.
Okay, bet.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I need like a streetlights flag or something.
yeah,
Something
yes,
like that.
yes, yes,
You need to put on some merch.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so speaking of that time, right, when we had the pandemic happen and streetlights is happening, I think this is around the same time that you're starting to like getting a presence and making a presence on TikTok. And like we can joke about it, but like that you have a phenomenal presence on there. So like talk to me about why, because I feel like a lot of people, and even myself, I'm like, them kids on TikTok, like I'm not gonna get on there and start playing with them, right? And I'm only 23. So I know, I can assume for you that that's how you felt about it. But I know like the persona and like the overall is like, it's kind of hard to get inside of the culture of TikTok, and
Yeah,
it's hard to keep making it happen. But
yeah,
you've been able to actually grow on the platform. So
I
like,
have. Yeah, yeah.
what was the decisions that you made to go there, and like
Oh
why?
man,
I feel like, would you say is that your primary social
it
media
is now.
focus right
Yeah,
now?
it is now. It's my biggest. Probably have the biggest following on TikTok now. As far as TikTok goes, like it was. I hated it at first. Like I hated it with a passion. I would never post, and we were having a streetlight meeting, and Melee was like, "Yo, you guys need to get on TikTok, and you need to like, you need to like make sure you're
Yeah,
posting
because
because
Melee, she was in there too.
yeah,
Like she had especially when it was first like the pandemic, she
yeah,
was going crazy on TikTok too.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
Yeah, and you're at 41.4K
hey, let's
right
go,
now.
let's go. That's dope. That's dope. Um, and so yeah, so that was going, and I owe a lot of this to Melee actually. I need to send her some flowers or something. Like I owe a lot of this to her. So um, yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm gonna encourage
yeah, yeah.
that.
She came up with this concept for us called Thirst Rap Thursdays because she was like, Crum, like you dress really nice. Like you should somehow combine fashion uh with your bars, but then also like but instead of like it being thirst trap, it could be thirst rap. And she's brilliant. She's
Oh,
brilliant.
that's so
Yeah. So she's
clever.
like, we call it
That's
thirst. Yeah,
incredible.
we call it Thirst Rap Thursdays. Every Thursday, you drop, you drop bars and like, and so I was like, okay, yeah, let's try it. And she was like, but make sure you post it on TikTok too. I was like, oh, I don't want to post it on TikTok. So the first one I did it. The first 2 weeks I did it, and they flopped. Like it did good on IG, but it flopped on TikTok. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate TikTok. I remember I posted the third video. I was so reluctant. I posted a third video at like 10 p.m. at night. I checked again at midnight and it got like 12 views on TikTok. And I remember hitting the group chat and I said to Melee, Melee, I said that Melee is sending it. Everybody that was in the group chat. I was like, I am going to delete this app in the morning. I hate TikTok. I don't know why I'm wasting my time editing these videos and putting all these lyrics on these screens. It took me 2 hours to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. This video is only a minute. I do not want to do this anymore. She's like, don't give up, Crum, don't give up. I said, no, I give up.
Literally, yes.
I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning and my phone is going crazy. It's going crazy. I look at my phone and like the video is at like 20,000 views or whatever, and it's counting. It's just going crazy. I look back, 25,000, 30,000, 35,000. It's just going crazy.
I love
And so I
it.
have it
I
pinned at the
love
top
it.
of my feed just to keep,
The
yeah, just
profile.
to
Yeah,
keep me
yeah.
reminded that like, just keep me reminded to not give up, right? Because it's one of those things. It was like, just stay consistent, do not give up because things like this can happen. And
I
yeah,
love
and
it.
so
I
yeah,
love
and
it.
so after that, I kind of figured out what works and kind of figured out the formula and kind of figured out what type of content works for me, what kind of content people want from me, and so it was really really cool to see like do that. So now TikTok's kind of like it's a place where I kind of have my formula, but it's also a thing where like I'm able to engage and create content based off of suggestions, and it's been really cool. I did this thing called like Crum World Tour where people would give me different like uh hip hop from different areas. So like, yo, East Coast, do it East Coast style, do Dirty South. Yo, we want some Texas, we want Detroit style, we want West Coast, give us,
Oh,
and
I
so
love
doing all that.
it.
And that's kind of how I built a bigger following by just trying different things from different people.
Being
Yeah.
creative and like just being tuned
Yeah.
in. I find people don't really understand. This is just Maya in I360 mode. People don't really understand the power of consistency and actually knowing what your audience wants. And so, a lot of even what I do when I'm helping other businesses or brands, I really love working with other creative entrepreneurs and people that are in creative like industries. They don't have a clue. They don't have like a lot of what I do is just help create the framework to then analyze data and say what your audience likes.
Yes.
And it's fun for me because I love creative content. I love coming up with concepts where I've been doing it for a really long time. But just seeing how I have a marketing brain, I've realized.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm thinking about
Oh,
these
I can talk
things.
about this
But a
forever.
lot of other people that are trying to get,
Yeah.
forever. Like, forever. I could have a whole podcast just about
Yeah.
marketing. I love
Yeah.
it. Like
Me
it's
too.
just incredible. But just organic marketing and understanding community and how to build that is so resourceful. And I'm glad that you are the epitome of that, especially on TikTok and just the understanding like what you're doing with your audience. That's why you're having success. I know a lot of people like, I don't know how he's doing that. Oh, he's just blessed or he just got lucky or whatever. And it's like, no, there's a formula behind this. There is. And there's a structure for what I'm doing. And I make it look easy. You make it look easy, but it's not.
It's not. There's a lot of
So
thought
that
and
has to be
yeah.
respected.
Yeah. There's a lot of thought, planning, strategic,
Preparation and
understanding. Yeah.
planning.
Understanding how like why content goes viral, what you have to tap into, what you need to say on the front end. Like
Yeah.
all of those things are to make a person want to stay to the end. All of those things are intentional.
Having your business goals or your brand goals or your artist goals directly tied to your call to actions, directly visible to your audience, making all kinds of what I call buyer persona or dream followers or dream audience, making sure that you understand your audience, you're asking them questions, you're tuned in, then making sure your content flows that way. If you have a certain social media goal, like I want reach, are you doing it for the algorithm on Instagram? I love Instagram. So are you doing it for the particular algorithm? There's 3 different algorithms on Instagram if you didn't know that. So like, do you know all these things? And a lot of people don't want to, which is why I have a job. So I'm not mad at you guys for being ignorant about
That's
it.
why we
Just go
exist,
ahead and
right?
pay me to do
That's
it
why
for
we
you.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah. But it just is really interesting. I know a lot of people think, people that have success in these social settings are just able to just do it. Like they just had one viral post or they had one thing that went off and then they've just been able to sustain off of that. And that's just not the case. It's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of planning. And big ups to you because that's incredible. Especially, I know for TikTok, it's just hard because that is a lot of organic things that just happen, like knowing your audience and being able to kind of predict what they're going to like and trial and error. Just for reference, I don't think Crum is saying, and I am for one never saying that a viral post is what's going to help or sustain anybody's
Right.
brand or business or artistry. Like if you never get one viral post, but you're consistent and you know
Always
your
going to be
audience, you
better.
will be 10 times more successful
Amazing. Yeah.
than someone who got one viral post and they don't know what they're doing. So create the structure. And if you need help with it, you can get help from Crum. Or if you need help with content strategy, you can come to me. I'm here too.
Absolutely.
So that's crazy though, that your TikTok journey really came from reluctance.
Yeah. It was Mele pushing me and telling me to don't give up. And
I love it. It's so true. It's so true. Okay. So now a lot of the things that you talk about, even from TikTok to all the things, is the announcement that you kind of made recently about your journey with your faith. And so like we could talk about that a little bit of just your journey into agnosticism and what that looks like in deconstruction. And so like, where are you right now? I think it'd be really helpful just to other people. You're not the first person that I've heard who has a background of faith, has been in faith for a long time, and you're kind of on this journey of relearning, like shedding all the dead weight of the stuff that you no longer want to carry and like trying to make a new path, whatever that looks like for yourself. And so I'm I'm invested to hear more about it and just to kind of hear your heart or where where you're at. And just be able to like learn a little bit because I have some friends, personal friends in my life who have made those decisions or maybe the reverse of it. And I love having conversations and just really being
Yeah.
transparent. That's what
No, I
Maia
love
Moments
it.
is
I
really
love
all
it.
about is connecting with people and stuff. So I love to hear more about it.
Yeah. So I probably started my process of like deconstruction of just kind of being like, okay, let's see what this is all about in 2020. This is also the year that it's kind of funny. This is also the year that I launched my church. So I planted a church in 2020, or I tried to plant a church in 2020 called Slingshot. And I had spent the year prior as part of this church planting residency to prepare and get ready for this. And the beginning of 2020, I was meeting with the leadership team pretty regularly, getting ready for, our public launch. As I'm getting ready for my public launch, the pandemic hits and everything shuts down. Everything. And so churches aren't allowed to meet, none of that stuff. Fine, cool. So what I do is I launch digitally. And so what we would do is, I would record my message, and then in the middle of the week I would host a Bible study, and I would just do an open invite and let people come and do all that.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We did that for maybe like 5 months. Now, what's going on all at the same time of this? News of Breonna Taylor comes out. News of Ahmaud Arbery comes out. And it's wild, right? I I preach a message about uh, racial reconciliation. Um, I preach this message about I preach this message about racial reconciliation. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, um, which is a very segregated city due to redlining. And so I if people
Got it.
people who are
Got it.
listening don't know
Okay.
what redlining is, just Google it. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah,
Google
um,
it. Go on Twitter.
yeah,
You'll find
yeah.
something.
But yeah, due to that, there's a separation, and there's just white people and black people aren't in proximity with each other. But I preach a message about racial reconciliation, and because I make music and because I'm pretty popular in my city and because news had kind of come out that I'm a pastor, people are kind of turning into what I'm talking about in my messages and things like that. I get so much hate for this message from white people.
Like social listening type of hate or like just like the
Just the
town talk of
town.
the
Yeah,
town
yeah,
type of hate
just
or
the
a
town.
mixture.
Just
Mm,
like members of other congregations, like, yo, like Black
makes
Lives
sense.
Matter
Yeah.
is terrorists, and Black Lives Matter, but black actions do too. Shit, sorry, I almost cussed. Stuff like that. Stuff like that.
No, I
Okay,
feel
yeah,
you. Now, my jaw, just for other
yeah,
context, as he's sharing, I'm also going through my own stuff where I'm from. So I can relate to this on a different level because I went to a conservative Baptist
yes, yes,
university. And yeah, so
yeah,
yeah, I
yep.
got you.
And so I'm getting like a bunch of like whatever. I don't even trust it anymore. Whenever like an evangelical pastor's like, "Hey, let's go get coffee," like I don't want to do that ever again. But it's like you get it, and then they're like, what is this really about? And all it's like, I don't want to waste my time. But then the news of George Floyd comes out. Now in Omaha, the day after the news of George Floyd, there were protests in Omaha. There's a young man named James Scurlock who was murdered by a a white business owner in the middle of the street, and did not was not in no charge
In
in my
in your
city in
in
Omaha. Yeah,
Omaha,
and there was no
Jesus.
charges brought up against him. They said it was self defense even though the kid had no gun, even though he had the gun and he had it illegally, there was no. So we had like we were so that all happened.
It's kind of like Rittenhouse, what he did
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
drove out, but it was like a
exactly,
business owner.
exactly. And
Got
so
you.
at this point, um, now I'm helping organize protests and things like that. And I'm even getting like pastors from the inner city. We're putting together these protests and we're speaking all these things. There's a big prominent white pastor who has one of the biggest churches in the city shows up to our protests. I promise I'm getting somewhere, but he shows up to our protests. He refuses to join us in prayer and everything like that. He's just kind of just spectating, just watching.
He came by
He came by
himself or
himself.
with
No,
his
he came by himself.
congregation too? Okay,
Yeah, he
got
came by
you. Okay.
himself. Later, he's just talking crazy on the internet, just like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, but he said Black Lives Matter, but Black actions do too. He said, um, he started posting like, he started posting all this
Oh,
stuff
oh
about like,
wow.
you know, uh, you know, these protests. You know, you need to make sure these protests are peaceful and you're not enticing people to violence and all of these, like he's just saying like a lot of like wild things and even like some like QAnon things, like just really, really, the stuff you've seen from Liberty. Like it's just he's just that guy right now. But he has one of the biggest churches in Omaha, and it was like, yo, and I remember like me and him like got into it, and his whole like congregation jumped on me. And it was just like, dude, what is this, man? What is happening? And and then like I remember like going to like there was like this whole like pastors meeting, and then we all wanted to show up. We all showed up and everything, and like they're like, we gotta fight this. We all need to be able to meet with our congregations again, and you know, like the left is this, just
Oh, for
yeah, just
pandemic
like all this
stuff.
stuff. And I'm
Oh
like,
God, yeah.
yo, like people are dying, yo. Like people are
Dying.
dying.
People
And
are
you're
dying.
concerned about this? Like people are dying. And so it was this thing where I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this church. I don't need to do any of this. Like I need to just like step away from this. I can serve my community in such a better way. Um, However you guys think church is supposed to work right now, I don't want anything to do with it. Like this is not, we're not serving people well by doing this. And so I remember that's kind of what started my deconstruction process. And it wasn't a thing where I like, I'm agnostic now. It really started as like, I just don't like what Christianity has become. I don't like what Christianity is, and not even what it's become, because Christianity, when you start looking at what I realized was, I don't like what it, my first thought was, I don't like what it's become in America. But when I look at how the inception of Christianity in
The
America,
history,
it was
yeah.
always like, oh no, this is even the
Always
worst it's
this.
been, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and
No,
so
no,
like,
yeah.
and so it was this thing of like, oh, like I, just like bit by bit, piece by piece, I started like unpacking certain things, and I think for a large course of 2021, I think I would still I still considered myself like I'm still a Christian, you know what I mean? But I just there's just certain things that I'm unpacking, um like scripturally, doctrinally, historically, that like I'm like, that's not, I guess what I believed there wasn't true, or man, maybe, oh, that's not what the text was actually saying, or like, so just like unpacking certain things, and which kind of brought me to, um, it brought me to a place. I remember this December 16th, I had a show and I was headlining this show, and I said to, I remember I was doing my set and I couldn't get through it. Now, I don't know if you ever seen, like, you've probably never seen me before, but that's my favorite thing. I have a live band. It's lit. It's a whole
Yeah.
vibe. It's a whole
Yeah.
experience. But
It's a vibe.
and I take it very seriously, but I can't get through my words. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, I can't get through this. And what I realized was there were a lot of those things that I wrote that I don't believe anymore. Um, and I've
Yeah.
never been a person who's able to fake anything. Like, you're gonna know how I feel. You're gonna see it
I
on my
feel you.
face. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I can't do it. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with you
And
there.
so,
Yeah.
I remember finishing my set, walking to my car, and I have all my stuff. I put it in the back of my trunk, and I just break down, like bawling, and I just like I don't believe it. I just I don't know what I believe, but I know I don't believe this, and I don't know what to do with that. Because I could lose my marriage, I could lose my uh, career, I could lose my friendships, I can lose literally everything because everything in my life was built on the foundation of my faith, right? And so I was just like, but it was also this thing of like, I can't, even with me possibly losing these things, I can't pretend like I'm certain of this anymore. And so that's kind of what agnosticism is. It's not that I don't believe, like it's not that I'm sure and I'm certain that there's not a God or whatever. It's really just the admittance of like, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Um
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
could there be something out there? Maybe it's out there. Maybe like I want to believe that it's out there. I want to, there's days I still pray. There's days I'm still like I throw on some worship music. There's still some days where that is still this like even to this day, I'm still like, God, if you're real, please like show me. Please. Like I would love to go back to how everything was, but I just don't. I just like
That's real.
I from what I've seen, I can't turn the switch back on. Like I'm of the belief. I remember putting up this poll. I don't know if you saw it, but on Twitter, I said, "Do you believe that belief is a choice?" Because I'm of the belief that it's not.
Ooh.
I think you have. I think you
That's
have.
good.
Um, I think you have information that informs your belief. Right? If you get information that um, that is presented to you that can alter your belief, like that's what would happen. Like it's not like you can just be like, oh yeah, I whatever. Like I just choose to like not look at that. Like and some people do that, but like they're still like deep down, if they're fully honest with themselves, you realize, oh, I don't believe that because you saw something that proved to you, or at least at that moment proved to you that, oh no, this might not be real. So that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm just like, I um for my whole life, my faith was a matter of public domain. So I don't have the freedom to publicly explore, to ask questions, to figure this thing out without massive judgment coming my way or people calling me a heretic or whatever because I'm trying to figure this thing out. Right. So I have to keep up. Yeah.
And that's why it's so valuable. Like you being transparent about where you are. And that's why I especially wanted to highlight it on here because it's needed. You know what I mean? Like, especially in my generation, especially, I know so many people in the Gen Z, that are just, they're walking away from the faith because they don't feel there's even um,
Mm,
room to
yeah.
ask,
Yeah.
room to question, room to um inquire. And it's like if God be who we claim him to be, he is big enough to hold our questions. He is strong enough to be able to take our frustration, and it should not be either or. And so I thank you for sharing that, because I think that's real and it's relevant. And I think even for myself, when I was going through just my own journey with my faith, going to college, it was culture shock for me. It was major culture shock. Just being that I was from California and I had the things that I was doing in church and what I knew about church. And when I came to Liberty, it was a total different culture for church than I had ever experienced, that I had ever known. And it was very difficult to, it was just difficult to be a part of, and to like reconcile that the type of church that was happening, or the type of church culture that was happening in Lynchburg, was a totally different experience than what I had experienced where I was from under the leadership of my father. I thought that kind of Christianity, that type of outlook on people had died, and it hadn't. And so being there, I had to reconcile my own faith and what did I believe? And it was like, okay, do I believe this for myself, or do I believe this because this is the family of faith that I come from? And, ultimately I made the decision, no, this is my belief. This is how I feel about God. And I had to then figure out what my relationship with God meant and what that looked like for me. That was no longer attached to my parents. That was no longer attached to my heritage, but it was Maya's personal relationship with God. And so I think that's so, it's so relevant, and it has to be talked about more. Like, it has to be an open forum that can be talked about in public and in church and outside of the church walls, that this, you having questions, you having doubts, is not is not an issue. It should be room enough for that. If God is so great and who we claim him to be, there should be room for that to exist, without the heretical claims and the fallacious and illogical things that come up due to you just bringing up your concern and your questions.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And I don't hate Christianity. I don't have a gripe or an issue with anybody believing or being sure of what they believe, or what. I don't have a, like, I think Christianity, when practiced purely, it could be beneficial to this world. I think what just so has happened, especially in this country, when you look at like the major oppressive movements that have come out of this country, were all led by Christians, who felt like they heard from God. I think it's very dangerous to not consider that, right? And to not say, how can we be better? Because it's not just saying, because like the explanation I get, or the response I get is, oh, well, they weren't real Christian. I don't think that's true. I think though, yeah, I think there's people who really thought they were serving God, and that they really thought that they were doing the right thing, and that they really, I think that those were actual Christians. I think I think that is dismissive, and I think it's a thing where like you're able to take away any type of accountability with it, because, oh, well, they're not like us. It's like, no, like, you do the same things, just just in a different way. The mindset's the same. So like, how can we get back to doing this and serving this, and even evangelizing this in a way that's not problematic, So yeah.
Okay, guys. So this is just a transparent tidbit. I literally got kicked out of the room that I was in that I was recording in. So I had to move to a totally separate room. That's why the background is different and everything. You can continue to finish that point if you wanted to go more into it.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I feel like if it could be practiced void of
Mm.
capitalism and just kind of the ways that um, this kind of westernized version of Christianity. I think if we can get back to a more um, not back to, but if we can get to a more biblical version of it, I think it could do a lot of really cool things. If we could prioritize love, I think it could do a lot of really, really cool things. I think, you know, um, I think if you keep it the forefront, love God, love people, I think a lot of really
Yeah.
good things could happen uh, through it. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
don't. A lot
It
of
doesn't
times it doesn't
happen that way,
happen. So
unfortunately. And
yeah.
it sucks because, even being in your faith, it's a whole feels like a tug of war. Even I did a whole podcast episode on like Black Lives Matter, and during that time, and I remember I could not like at that time I was trying to put out more content for Maia Moments, but because it was like an extension of my faith of like me being able to be candid about things, I could not make any podcasts about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so frustrated. I
Yeah.
was frustrated on a lot of different ways at being frustrated. And
Right. Right.
especially at that time. Like my father he's a borderline politician. He's been in politics since he was younger than me. And so the disparities that happen to
Oh wow.
Black people is very connected to his experience as a Christian. And so like knowing how connected that is to my faith, um, these are the type of conversations I'm used to having. And saying Black Lives Matter and these type of things in the place that I'm from, where the place where I'm birthed, it's comfortable. I don't have to say that without looking around me and feeling judged or feeling like people are gonna call me heretical or that I don't know Jesus for myself or I'm a
Mm-hmm.
liberal,
Yeah.
it's like you just flip it that you have grouped a people group together that is so faceted and it's multifaceted and has so many different experiences. And just me saying that the skin color that I am is
Yeah.
worthy of
It's
humanity is
yeah.
now
It feels like
has become an
nuance.
insult to you. Yeah, so nuanced.
Yeah, and it feels like nuance isn't like is like rare. Like people don't like to unpack the nuance and they don't like to lean into it. They don't, it's just like, oh, it's all or nothing, and it's like
Yeah.
no, there is
That's
no
just
one who's all or nothing,
nothing.
you know.
No.
So yeah.
Even that goes from any walk of life, any people
Mm-hmm.
group, anybody. There's so much nuance and there's complexities, and it's never that simple. And so you can't reduce people down to what your assumptions of them are or what even your experience have been with certain people. You gotta like give people room to be who they are. But yeah, I appreciate you. I thank you so much for just coming on the podcast and talking about your journey. Um, I think I'll end with just asking you like, um, how do you feel your journey being creatively purposed? Like, what does that mean to you? And like, how does that coincide with the faith that you had and the faith that you're walking into?
Yeah. I think for me, I still want to help. I'm still moved and motivated by love. I'm still, um, the music I create is still about creating music and even art that helps people feel seen, um, and heard. And so, um, so I want to keep doing that, you know. Um, and I don't know where things will be for me, like, 5 years from now. I don't know if I would, but I think it's one of those things where um, I'm going to freely navigate those things and um, be and with transparency, with honesty, and with freedom. And I don't know. I feel good about that. I feel very optimistic
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
So yeah,
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for your journey.
thank
I'm
you.
glad that I get to like just get sneak peeks and
Yeah. No, I
be a
appreciate you.
part of that because it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Life is not it's not a straight line. And
Yeah.
so just being able to see, I love transparency. I love being able to have conversations where you really can ask questions about other people's experiences and get raw answers. Like none of us have arrived. None of us know everything and we're all trying to figure things out. And I think there is so much power in just being transparent and having the tough conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and the beautiful conversations. Now, if you had any word of advice to someone who may want to be a part of any of the things that you're doing creatively, like whether that be graphic design or creating an agency or on the, the being an artist side, like rapping, hip hop, artistry, like if you had any words of advice that you would give to someone who may be on that journey and maybe
Yeah.
they're young or maybe they're older and they feel
Yeah.
like I'm kind of out of it. I should have did it a long time ago, but
Hmm.
it is what it is now. Do you have anything that you would just like kind of speak into them?
Yeah. I would say, don't give up. I know it sounds super cliche, but do not give up. Stay consistent. And good and finished is always better than uh perfect and not. So
That's a word.
yeah. So put out your content. It's good enough. It's fine. Put it out. So yeah.
I received that for myself as well.
Yeah.
It's so true. You become a perfectionist. Like it's not the way that I want it, but
Yeah.
it's correct. Good and finished is better than perfect and stored away and no
Yeah.
one even seen it.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Crum. I'm so grateful to just been able to have a conversation with you. If you're listening and you would like to know how you can support Crum, you can follow him and continue to watch his journey in life at J Crum Music on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Hmm.
If you would like to buy some merch, I think he has some available. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you can find information for that on any of his profiles. And then, of course, if you want to be connected to him in a different way by being able to help with his whole artistry, in his artistry as a hip hop artist, you can text Crum, CRUM, at 402-389-3248.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. I'm so grateful. And I will see you guys on another episode of Maia Moments. Bye. Talk to you later.